Hello relatives, it's the Moon Oracle here. Welcome back, good to see you. So last night I held a new moon ceremony, new moon in Aries, and I'd just like to talk a little bit about the new moon in Aries as we're still in the new moon phase. And yeah, even today you can practice a ritual, set some intentions and plant those seeds to manifest whatever it is you're looking for. So I'll start by talking about the new moon in Aries. So new moon is all about new beginnings, fresh starts, planting seeds for the things that we're looking for. And Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So we're entering a new cycle. We're entering a new phase. Aries is the baby of the zodiac, so there's a lot of intense energy, quite uncontrollable sometimes, and you know, that can be great if we can harness it. And also being Aries with the new moon at the same time, you know, that heightens the energy around this new beginning, fresh start, a new way of doing things perhaps. So yeah. And also there's been a lot of other kind of energy that has this sense of new beginnings, you know, spring equinox, Mars Jupiter conjunction, and Saturn moving into Aquarius. These are all taking us into a fresh way of being, a new phase, a new cycle, a new chapter perhaps. So it's really marking the end of something and moving into something new. All of this energy is already setting a lot of intense waves out into the cosmos, and the new moon is heightening everything and yeah, sprinkling a little of its own energy on top of that already building energy that's taking us into this new phase that's ready to kind of pop into something new. It's a big transformative energy. There's a lot of energy which will move us in a very short amount of time. So equinox, Mars conjunction with Jupiter and Saturn moving into Aquarius has all happened in quite a short period of time. So there's really an intensity to this, which we might be feeling. And it can potentially bring up a lot of different emotions and make us feel quite heady. Aries rules in the body, the area between the top of the head and the nose, so we could feel quite full of thoughts. We may have a tendency to overthink, and also may have a tendency to kind of be quite impulsive and act on things yeah, in a very sort of quick and almost kind of childish baby-like way, but there is something positive in that, because it can give us, you know, the courage to just act when maybe we've been a bit more considered and slow in previous times. Also at the moment, the asteroid Chiron is quite active. Chiron is known as the wounded healer. So there's also Chiron playing its part in bringing in awareness of areas that maybe we've neglected, any self-care, any wounds that we have. We might feel that they are opening up, or they're coming up to the surface and calling us to look at them. So it's a good time to use this new moon energy and also the equinox energy and this Saturn moving into Aquarius energy to really look at where we need to develop and grow as people, where our wounds are holding us back, where our you know, wounds are maybe holding us back and blocking things that we would really like to manifest, but maybe there are certain things that we need to look back at and address before we can move into this new chapter. So whatever we've been neglecting or ignoring when it comes to our well-being, Chiron will guide us there and ask us to sit with it until we can feel whole again. And in order to move into a new chapter and really evolve as people, we need to, you know, look at ourselves and our wounds, and sometimes admit our shortcomings and where we need growth, and perhaps to evolve before we can be the people that are able to pursue the intentions that we have in mind. And sometimes there can be a gap in between the two. Right, so yesterday at the ceremony I also did a tarot reading, so I'm now just gonna, yeah, I wrote a little something last night after I did the tarot reading, so I'm just gonna share that with you as well, because I think I love to do a tarot reading at new moon or full moon, and really just tap into the message of how we can pursue moving through certain phases, certain astrological energies, certain occurrences that are going on. And it was a really interesting one. So the first card was the High Priestess, the second card was Two of Pentacles or discs, and the third card was the Three of Wands. So the High Priestess is a higher arcana, and really is speaking about the higher lessons or the karmic lessons, or the, you know, the deeper, more elevated side of the situation. And the High Priestess is all about knowledge and awareness, but it's not so much a book smart awareness or a schooled intelligence. It's more of a kind of innate, heartfelt wisdom. So there's something calling us to look at the current situations from a really heartfelt space. And the High Priestess really embodies the energy of the mother, of the moon, of women teachers, of mothers, carers. And that's not to say that it's only women that will be able to do this. I mean, everybody has a balance of masculine and feminine. So it's really about tapping into that compassionate wisdom, rather than a kind of intellectual wisdom, which can be quite judgmental, quite critical perhaps. There's something calling us to really reflect on what's happened up until now, and to really kind of reflect on the lessons that we've learned and move forward with that. It's almost like wisdom that is from learnt experience, rather than wisdom that is from a book or from something that we've learnt academically. So it's really about life lessons and moving from the heart. The High Priestess is also about that's the space between the subconscious and the higher levels of consciousness. So there's something calling us to look at the higher levels of consciousness above the situations that we're dealing with, although we might be feeling a lot in the subconscious and perhaps be feeling quite, again, because of the Aries moon, quite impulsive and reactive, and maybe feeling torn and a lot of different emotions coming up. So there's something telling us to, you know, transcend and elevate above this situation that we're currently in, and to tap into that energy of trust and that really kind of nurturing, maternal, Mother Earth, Gaia energy that just knows that everything will be well. The High Priestess also reminds us to step away from any concepts of them versus us. The High Priestess is very much about unity and oneness, and seeing everything from that really higher perspective, that really evolved place where you trust that everything is playing out as it should, but also you trust that we're all connected. So yeah. So if there's any feelings of separation that are coming up for you, or any feelings of, you know, them out in the world versus you in your own experience, like there's something calling us to look at that and really kind of bring the two together and realize that everybody else's experience is also our own experience, and we can't witness something without, you know, being connected to it, because we're all intertwined. And I think at the moment, with everything that's going on with the virus, and also how people are having to maneuver through the world with that going on, it's really highlighting the fact that we are all so interconnected, and any sense of separation just doesn't really exist. You know, what one person does affect everybody else, and as a society we are all evolving together, and our personal evolution, you know, spreads out and sets a blueprint for the rest of the world. So yeah, so the High Priestess is reminding us that we're all connected, to look from a higher perspective, to love and nurture from a heartfelt space, and to tap into wisdom that we've learned from experience, and to be aware that intelligence is different to wisdom, and book smart intelligence and being knowledgeable through schooling is different to trusting and being wise from a heartfelt, emotional space. Yeah. So the next card was the Two of Pentacles, Two of Discs. And this card is symbolized by a figure standing with their back turned to the ocean, juggling material action. So there's something reminding us here that we are in a great game of life, and the ocean, the earth, Mother Nature is going on, and we may turn our back and be juggling away, but everything is always working as one again. And there's a real thread in this card of versatility and adaptability. It's reminding us that this game of life will always be unfolding. The ocean will always be very close to us, flowing in whatever way it chooses, and we can stand and try to juggle and not look, but it's always there. So the key here to embrace is flexibility, and also there is a sort of reminder that if we resist change, we may lose out in some way. We may cause ourselves more suffering by resisting and trying to keep juggling and not looking at the bigger picture. Yeah. There's also a message in this card of movement in areas of work or material things, or how we make money, and it's suggesting with the two discs that potentially we're moving from one area to another, or one way of working to another, or maybe there's a transition happening from how we move on one side of our work life to another. And again, it's about being adaptable and versatile and flexible. And if we can keep those concepts in mind and try to embody them, then all will be well. And the last card was the Three of Wands. Wands are all about thoughts and actions, and Three of Wands is about the borderline, the edge of something. We're on the borderline, just about to transition again from one world to another, and it's time to demonstrate what we've learned up until now. It's a time to take stock, it's a time to look back and reflect, and it's a time to step into positions of leadership where we can help others and guide others from the wisdom that we have gathered on our own journeys, and our actions now will be very important. This card talks about us being observed or being watched, but not in any kind of malevolent way. It's in a really kind of positive way, but it's reminding us that although we might not sometimes be aware, we are always being noticed, and it's about how you want to be seen and noticed. And I feel that with this reading with the High Priestess, there's really that mother energy, that kind of really tapping into that heartfelt, compassionate, but also very wise and otherworldly energy. Two of Pentacles is talking about this kind of transition, but it requiring us to be flexible and adaptable. So it's really stepping into flow, but from a higher perspective and a loving place. And then the Three of Wands is just reminding us that we are on this borderline. We're transitioning from one world to another potentially, or one place to another, or one way of being to another. And there's something about how we choose to act in this moment now that will be seen and will be heard. And I think on a personal level, we're all aware that we're having to make decisions and make changes, but on a wider perspective, I think that the world is in a time where we will be looking back on this and looking at how we all as a collective have responded to current events and where our shortcomings have been. And I think this reading is just reminding us to be mindful that we're not reacting, and just be a bit considered and look at the bigger picture and really tap into that energy of trust, that compassion, that deeper knowing that can be hard to tap into in challenging times. But this reading is reminding us that that is what we need to do, and all will be well. So thank you for joining me, for listening to this little reflection on the new moon and the tarot reading message that I have for you today. I'm wishing you all well, and you can follow me on Instagram, YouTube and Facebook at The Moon Oracle, and yeah, there's lots of exciting events coming up and readings and videos and practices, so stay connected, look after yourselves, blessings.